Dad, not understanding something isn't a good reason to prevent someone from doing something. You, it's just you trying to have power over something because you feel you have an adequate amount of power in your everyday daily life.
Katie.
Inadequate.
Katie.
What?
I know you miss your mom. I know it's been hard without her, but we really need to start working together as a team if we want to tackle these larger issues.
I'm back from my day trip from Wisconsin. Mom!
Sometimes an artist comes along who can change the lens through which you view the world around you. When I look at a window, I see a pane of glass, some wood, plastic, paint, I see something mundane. But there is something hidden in certain kinds of art, a key that unlocks the inspiration in my brain to see a window as a catalyst of change from one state of being to another, as a symbol of freedom, of escape, or of seeing the world through a different lens, gazing into someone's inner lives, whatever. The window becomes more than the sum of its parts, and I can feel a change stir in my soul. It makes me want to create something and gives me this sense of hope. Not many artists can evoke that in me, but this one can. This man is an eccentric surrealist. He is strange, an enigma, at the same time a musician, a producer, a wizard, a captivating lyricist, an animator, a mom, and ultimately, I believe that he is one of the most important artists of the last decade. Welcome back to The Truman Show, the only channel on YouTube cataloging a man's public descent into madness. This is the fourth in a series of videos where I rant to you about Jack Stauber, the 28-year-old art house extraordinaire based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And just like on previous episodes, we're going to be analyzing selected works from his extensive catalog and trying to figure out what they mean. Works which confuse everyone, except for me. I'm the only one who understands. So, before we start on our little adventure into one of the most fun corners of the internet, where all of us sad people slow dance in liminal spaces, settle in, get comfortable, get yourself a snack if you want, and steel your loins, because this could get mildly disturbing. For real though, just general trigger warning for, weird or uncomfortable shit. I don't think anything on here that I'm going to be going over today is as bad as something like bumblebees are out, but it still goes to pretty dark and depressing places, so viewer discretion is advised, as pretty much always with my channel. Also, I keep saying this, but anything that I say is just my personal interpretation of the pieces that we discuss. One of my favorite parts of uploading these videos is reading people's different takes and opinions on the songs and videos. And while it really should be the default assumption when engaging with anyone's opinions about something that it's just their thoughts on it, a lot of people online get very offended if you don't preface every thought with, this is just my opinion.
Hi again, alright, I will say it again.
Video Man is just nuts. It conceptually scared me the first time I watched it, and I don't scare very easily. There's a simple, unchanging backdrop of green and blue and sun behind this weird little egg-shaped gumball thing. But where is the Video Man? Wait. He's the Video Man? The Video Man greets us wistfully, and then begins to sing a little song.
Hi again, alright, I will say it again. I am so jealous of you, you get to walk away. I don't learn, I just see a new time and me, same sun, same song, same words, same words, same words, same words. I am so jealous of you.
I am so jealous of you, you get to walk away. I don't learn, I just see your new time and me, same song, same words. He stares into your soul with this disappointed little smirk and an animation that asks the question, what happens to the man in the TV after you turn the TV off? My grandmother tells a story sometimes that when she was a kid, she thought that there were little people inside the radio who would play the songs. This feels kind of like that. Jack took a character that he made and brought them to hideous life in a never-ending loop. Every time you rewatch the video, he greets you again and sings his repetitious little song. You'll quickly notice he sounds almost weary. Almost like he can't stand singing this stupid song over and over. He has no capacity for growth or change. Doomed to watch forever as he stays the same, always the same. Not you, though. You'll grow old and die as he reluctantly waits for his next viewer to serenade. It's incredibly meta, and it gets even worse when you think about it for too long, because the only way for him to find rest is to destroy the tape forever. By uploading him to the internet, you've essentially cursed him forever. Only when the last servers fail and the final data tower falls and crumbles to the ground will the video man find peace. Gives me chills.
When I try, there you are.
Have you ever felt like you weren't able to be yourself? And instead of being authentic or genuine, you had to pretend to be someone you weren't. Someone more capable, more sociable, more interested, more interesting, constantly putting on a careful performance for reasons ranging from seeking approval to simple distrust of those around you. Fighter is one of my personal favorite Jack Stauber songs, and it takes that idea of a person putting on a mask or a persona and adds this second character, one who sees through you and belligerently rips the facade off, exposing the bit beneath that brings you shame. And also, somehow at the same time, to me, it's a love song. For the longest time, I didn't know there was a video associated with the song at all. But one thing I immediately geeked out over was that at the very beginning of the video, you can just barely see a frame from Stauber's song Peppermint, a fun little Easter egg that makes me wonder if these videos got digitized in batches and were sliced apart afterwards, and this was a little mistake. Jack Stauber is known for these sort of lo-fi masterpieces of animation, accompanied by warm, strange music with pop production, but extremely weird lyrics and sounds and vocal inflections. Jack gets his signature degraded tape recording sounds and visuals using analog gear and then digitizing the results, which explains why his VHS look is a million times better than the obviously phony VHS filter that comes prepackaged with Adobe and shows up all over YouTube nowadays. As many younger people's internal visualization of a VHS recording will be based off a cheap emulation rather than the actual thing. I realize this is silly, it's a hyper-specific thing to care about, but it's something that I only recently learned, and it's meant a lot to me, and seemingly has helped me to understand what gives Jack's work the sort of aura of authenticity that comes with the less polished material. It wasn't manufactured, it was literally created that way. Little details like that stick out as important to me. You might not notice it immediately, but I'm pretty sure if you were to remove the degradation from those tapes, and if you had recorded these same songs in a professional studio with producers and recorded those same animations in 4K quality, much of the life and warmth and feeling of inherent longing for a time you weren't even a part of would be stripped away. And these emotions getting evoked is a massive part of why Jack's material works for me. In a larger context, it's interesting to me how what are considered defects of any given medium are, in hindsight, the most charming and valuable things about it. The needle drop, the hiss of a record, rolling a tape back before returning it, scratched DVDs with wildly interactive menus. There is an intangible magic to the tech that we create that gets lost in translation until it doesn't. And suddenly you find yourself listening to a Mac DeMarco record for the first time and noticing a strange quality to the sound. Then you turn into a nerd and do a little bit of research and discover that that sound is because he used all analog gear instead of programmed drums and MIDIs. None of this is intended to be nostalgia porn. I'm not trying to say that one medium is any better than any other medium. In fact, to some degree, it is difficult not to be cynical about an aura of authenticity when it's deliberately emulated rather rather than organically lived in during the time when that thing was popular. But at the end of the day, what matters most is its effect on the viewer or the reader or the listener. And that tangible, emotional effect is what I'm talking about. We watch as Jack shifts between a fighter and a lover, the two states of being imposed on him by some nebulous other. It could be friends, could be a partner, could just be societal pressure. He is told what box he needs to fit inside and then conforms to that reality. But then we add in someone who can see past the masking techniques and tries to uncover who the narrator truly is by pushing their curtains to the side, in this case, shower curtains, exposing their nakedness. There's this really fun breakdown about halfway through the extended version of the song as this 50s style doo-wop music starts playing, and we hear a high-pitched voice welcoming us to the performance of the one and only Jack Stauber. This section culminates with the question, if you really loved me, why'd you train me to fight? Is the person tearing their identity apart also simultaneously the orchestrator behind that pressure to conform in the first place? That would be awful. The expectations and the blame and the shame all being inflicted by one person. Then the final section of the track is the most powerful, and one of my favorite moments in any Jack Stauber song. The music mostly cuts out, except for a rhythmic thumping, and the vocals start much softer this time, and then intensify as the track builds to an angry crescendo that is really satisfying and cathartic. This really is one of my favorite tracks that Jack has ever made. And I'm super happy I got to talk about it. Honestly, I feel like it's pretty underrated. Anyways, moving on. Let's pump the brakes a bit on the horrifying nonsense, and instead switch our focus to something positive and uplifting, safe for the whole family. 104.7, The Fish. Getting My Mom On is a song about being a caretaker, or a caregiver. Why do those mean the same thing? A song about being a mother and some stereotypically motherly behavior, which was uploaded on May 13th, 2018, aka Mother's Day. The song contains one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in a song. I want to live up in a tree and sell a knife to a bee and agree that he won't poke me. What the hell does that mean? While most of Jack's work is super disturbing or difficult to process and work through, this video for this song is one of the silliest and goofiest things he's made, and I love it so very much. He just looks genuinely happy here, and I think that joy is evident even in his most messed up pieces. A lot of people try to portray the man himself as this tragic figure, but in the few interviews we have and the comments from those who claim to know him, he sounds like an extremely chill dude who just likes making unique art, and his dancing around and drinking mimosa is just infectious to me. And I think it does us good to dwell on it after all this crazy stuff. The song itself reminds me a lot of the song White Woman's Instagram by Bo Burnham. It starts by making fun of, or kind of being tongue-in-cheek about, stereotypical mom behavior, like day drinking, cutting coupons, going shopping at JCPenney in the mall, listening to John Mayer, having tacky posters, and trying to keep up with unruly kids. But as the song continues, he starts to empathize with the Keep Calm Carry On poster, realizing what a hectic and draining full-time job being a mom is. Constantly searching for the kids, hearing them hurt themselves and feeling pain that you yourself weren't there to stop that from happening to them, feeling the pain of not being able to constantly protect them. He also mentions hiding away Special K as a cereal that's just for him. Special K's entire branding used to be weight loss based. Watching your body change as you age is something that few people look forward to. But the expectations placed on mothers, especially after childbirth, by those around them in regard to their appearance can be ridiculous. So after Jack gets in touch with his inner mother, he realizes that it's very taxing and becomes enlightened. Maybe.
Did you get cheese hats? You bet your sweet ass I got cheese hats.
Dope, Mom.
PB&J is one of those hilarious, awkward animations which feels like something you'd see on Adult Swim back when Adult Swim was still really cool and felt like an offbeat acid trip. Like with some of the others in this category, I can't really explain it to you word for word or else that'll just make it cheaper. So instead, I'm going to show it to you and then discuss why it works so well.
Daddy, I said I only wanted jelly on the sandwich. This is peanut butter and jelly. I hate peanut butter. Katie, there's so much protein in peanut butter. You have to eat peanut butter to grow healthy. I'm your dad. I know what's best for you. And I don't understand why you wouldn't want peanut butter on your sandwich. It is the best flavor combination that you could have on a sandwich. Dad, not understanding something isn't a good reason to prevent someone from doing something. It's just you trying to have power over something because you feel you have an adequate amount of power in your everyday daily life.
Katie.
Katie.
What?
I know you miss your mom. I know it's been hard without her, but we really need to start working together as a team if we want to tackle these larger issues. I'm back from my day trip from Wisconsin. Mom! Did you get cheese hats? You bet your sweet ass I got cheese hats. Dope, Mom.
Holy shizzle, Jack's getting his mom on! We've come full circle. At least no one's getting his mom off. Now that'd be crazy. The biggest thing here is obviously the dialogue, which feels both realistic and at the same time like the improv game Yes and, the game where you create a role-playing scenario and your partners have to keep adding to the scene by accepting what you said and tacking more onto it. The stakes getting raised over and over, from a psychological analysis to a monologue about the grief of losing your mother, all over an argument about a sandwich, is hilarious all by itself. But then Mom walks through the door and the misdirection is revealed. There was no crisis. All the melodrama was for nothing. I feel like family drama can often turn out like this, starting over something small and stupid and escalating into something that feels massive in the moment. And years later, you don't remember anything except for how silly it was to get so worked up in the first place. You've been feeling down, haven't you, since the accident? Well, kid, I want you to know that there's always somebody who's going to be looking out for you. Somebody who picks you up when you fall. Somebody who gave everything to be God?
Yes, it is I, my child. Sometimes I wonder if there's anyone looking out for me. When you pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars, I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
I wanna be painless. What's so scary?
Do you love the story of Cupid? I know I do. An adorable little cherub who shoots a golden arrow at people's hearts to make them fall in love. It's sweet, endearing, and my god, what the hell is that? Cupid is one of Jack's more popular songs, and one that I'm surprised that I haven't covered yet. Not sure what I was thinking there. My bad, people have been requesting this for 2 years now, and I'm finally getting to it. To me, this song is fairly straightforward, and it's hard for me to think of one more filled with sadness. Cupid is a cruel beast who inflicts nothing but pain on those who don't get the reciprocated love they see all around them. It's easy to feel like you won't ever find someone to love or to hold, and while riding the bus alone, you start to wonder if you're rapidly running out of time. The song has a sort of crying sound in the background, as well as screeching feedback throughout, seemingly to really emphasize the pain the lead singer is going through. They express a desire to cut the ability to love off of them, like a circumcision. The love he carries is something to be surgically removed, and I don't think the phallic imagery is unintentional. To those who are unaware, circumcision is the removal of the foreskin from the penis, generally occurring at or near birth for religious or aesthetic reasons. Pretty barbaric practice, if you ask me, one which researchers have found registers as sexual trauma in the developing mind and decreases a man's sexual sensitivity and ability to, finish, but let's keep this on track. The love and desire that the singer feels, they analyze over and over again in their head, obsessively beating themselves over the head with the lack of reciprocity and how stupid they were to think that the feelings were shared. And they conclude that love is vapid and aimless and based on nothing. But if it's nothing, then why do they hurt so bad? The perfect Valentine's Day song. The little earworm creature in the video is shot and killed, falling back down into his hole of depravity and landing in a coffin. But unfortunately, the coffin turns into a closet, as we see that those feelings never really go anywhere, but just lie dormant, sleeping an uneasy sleep till one day you reread a letter and fall back down the hole again. And there's nothing but darkness and grief for something that was never meant to be, as you waste away and wait. Some people asked me to cover the song that got leaked from his Patreon. Did you know that Jack Stauber has a Patreon page where he uploads new content on a monthly basis, and it's super cool and also awesome? If you have the ability and means to, you should totally check it out. The song in question is a recent one about how computers can't create human emotions. Fairly topical given this current AI craze. But that's all I'm going to say about it, because super not cool to leak small independent artists stuff. Consider this an ad for his Patreon. Support your favorite artists. It's the most inconsistent job in the world when it comes to being paid any sort of livable wage, and I feel like in a lot of ways it's a super underappreciated job, despite the fact that literally everyone consumes art. All the people who are using the song on TikTok while knowing where it came from are very stupid. If you're going to steal, do it from corporations, not from artists. This year, Spotify has demonetized millions of artists, but has been platforming thousands of AI-generated songs on playlists that they curate. So cool, right? Try to go to local shows if you can. Tickets can be $10, $15, or some I've been to are even free. Support your movies and your music and your books and the people who create the art you love, or analyze the art you love. I have a Patreon page you should totally check out if you want. You get cool Discord privileges, behind the scenes content, and you can watch videos sort of come together before they actually release. Plus, it's a big reason why I can still make videos on here, so I appreciate you.
I do, can I, do I.
Now we turn our unwavering gaze to Abel, aka a modern retelling of Animal Farm in 27 seconds. A life uncertain of what your capabilities actually are, so you live in a sort of half-witted haze of convenience as you are taken advantage of by those who understand more and are willing to use their power to subjugate you. Intensely disturbing, Abel follows the life of a cow on a farm as she questions what she can and cannot do. She watches as the farmer milks her and her sisters, builds the farms they reside in, the places they are caged in, and she sees them feed her. These actions are all out of her hands, and she thinks long and hard about this as she slowly and agonizingly is pulled down a conveyor belt leading into the darkness. This uncanny feeling in the pit of your stomach gets worse and worse when we see the farmer's eyes glow hot with malice? No. Hunger. You see, our friendly cow here understands its potential. It wishes to realize it, but it lacks the means, the learned skills, the equipment, the biological advantages. It imagines holding the same power as the farmers to build and grow and sustain instead of just survive. You could say that the cow has been separated from the means of production. That's right! This was a metaphor for capitalism! Wait, what's that? Right as the cow actualizes its own destiny and freedom of choice and will, we get to the end of the conveyor. A sack over her head and a carefully placed bolt gun pointed at her brains. The unsettling image fades as we stare helplessly into the darkness, forced to reconcile with what we weren't shown but still know to be true. Whatever potential existed before has been snuffed out, and in its place, the cold reality that there was never any escape from the farm that was her prison. It was always going to end this way. After a 15-month hiatus from posting videos, Jack returned on October 26, 2021 to upload what is, as of this recording, his last public post on social media. And fittingly, one of the most insane pieces of art that he has ever created. It's so awful that I was afraid of covering it. It's called Baby Son Adoring Us, and just like a real father, Jack gave us a baby, and has been nowhere to be seen for 3 years. There are two main interpretations of this song and video. The first is a more technical theory kind of interpretation. We see a child with an abnormally large head as his parents rejoice at his birth. The first thing we see is a brain shriveling up. Then we watch as the child seemingly has severe psychic pain inflicted on him. Something is wrong with the infant. We see this almost tumor-like growth and wonder if that could be causing all the intense hurt and distress. But his parents, blind in their joy, see his pained stare looking up at them as a look of adoration. The birth defect hurting him is symbolized by trees dying behind him as his neurons fail and give out. The parents tell the child to sustain and conquer the illness, but seemingly give up on him in the end, exclaiming, "Can he go away?" as the baby grows angel wings and ascends to the heavens above. Like Hamantha. This implies that the parents let the child die literally because they couldn't stand taking care of him, and they cover their eyes so they don't need to see the damage that they cause. Fantastic. My favorite, really. So this begs the question, what other way is there to interpret this? My take on it is more personal and less literal, taking it less as an obvious story and more as a metaphor. As always, these ideas are very much just my opinion. Don't take anything I say as gospel. Come to your own conclusions. The song to me is about parents putting expectations on their children. A child is brought into the world against their will and are going to have to deal with the many things that life has to offer, which along with good things include disease, sickness, pestilence, hunger, injustice, malice, hatred, war, violence, doing things you don't want to do to survive, greedy, lying, backstabbing, awful people, pedos, and Colleen Hoover books. Parents have certain responsibilities, and they owe their children everything. That includes a roof over their heads, access to education, access to medicine, food on the table, love and affection. All of this unconditionally as a minimum to try and balance out the inherent unfairness of the situation. But some people get it twisted. And despite not really liking their own lives, they decide that life is some fantastic gift that they've bestowed to their offspring and make it their business to make their kids feel guilty and indebted to them for anything and everything. Everything is too much. And sometimes they try to control the paths the kids take in life, even as adults, including jobs, friends, who they love, what they're allowed to believe, etc., on and on. To me, Baby Son Adoring Us is a story about someone putting the massive weight and pressure of their own dreams and aspirations onto their kid and attempting to live vicariously through them to achieve some ego-driven catharsis. And when that kid doesn't live up to those expectations or fails to conquer, then the parent becomes indifferent or even full of spite or anger. And then they close their eyes and plead with God, "Please, make them go away."
Sabrina would open the cupboard and search, for inside she knew lived a miniature man.
Do you like men? We're going to be talking about multiple different types of men, starting with the Lima Bean variety. This short starts with almost a Dr. Seuss-like nursery rhyme. Each day when her parents would head off to church, Sabrina would open the cupboard and search, for inside she knew lived a miniature man who'd made his home behind their lima bean can. Then he starts to sing her a beautiful song about being tied to a spoon and floating up to the moon. You must understand, he has a wife on the moon with beautiful hair, and he hopes she's not dead. He's been gone a long time. I wonder how many years it's been. He cannot accept her death, so he imagines she's waiting somewhere for him instead of dealing with the grief of her passing. It's very sad. So the Lima Bean Man starts repeating, "I hope she's not dead. I hope she's not dead," over and over and over again in wailing screams as Sabrina does what I think we all do when we listen to Jack Stauber. She looks on with absolutely no sympathy. And if this video means anything, I think it's trying to say, in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way, that y'all don't want to hear me, y'all just want to dance. Sometimes people play pumped up kicks, at school basketball games. Sometimes they play Every Breath You Take at weddings. Couldn't be me though. I'll be on the other side. You're going to be hearing sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows when I kill myself. And it'll be hilarious. Inchman is a fast-paced, upbeat, and catchy song that is nearly incomprehensible lyrically, and to this day, people still have no idea what the lyrics are. Legend goes that when asked what the lyrics were, Jack responded with a smile, "I'll never tell." The video features a tiny man. Let's call him Bob. The video features Bob running around, Jack punching himself in the face, and a general sense of symmetry. A clockwork energy, if you will. The full version of the song seems to paint a picture of an abusive relationship where one person hurts the other. Honestly, it's difficult to find any clear meaning. It's even difficult for me to stretch to find some absurd nonsense off in the distance. Jack Stauber quite literally invented his own language for this stuff. You can clearly hear two different voices at the start of the track, one who says it's never been worse, and the other who responds, that's not true. This theme of invalidating and gaslighting someone else permeates the entire song. Inchman released nearly 7 years ago now, and it's funny going to the comment section and seeing Jack interacting with comments and seeing people who were still unaccustomed to the nature of his work get jump scared by the strangeness of it all. There is a certain longing for the past that must be coming across in my writing right about now, which leads me to... As we approach the end of this fun little analysis video, I have 2 more song, video, animation abominations that I want to talk about. The first being called Back, and it deals with a false nostalgia that creeps into your mind and rots your bones and brain and soul, expressing the ever-present sentiment of every generation that has ever existed. Back in my day, things were so much better. This is one of the few songs that refers to Jack himself as a concept. The video and song are a distorted childhood through half-forgotten memories and strange landscapes of looking up at the adults and wondering if you'll ever make it up there. You'll notice the slap on the back leaves a strong, lasting imprint, almost as though it was a form of punishment. My favorite part about this one is the music. Some of Jack's most interesting work to me is a little bit more experimental and a bit darker, and here I get that fix in very high doses. The music is slow, deliberately weird, and his vocals pitch shift up and down. It's all so alien and incredibly cool to me. We can look back on how we used to stay up till 5 in the morning, which I find hilarious because I'm writing this at 7:36 a.m. and I've been up all night scripting this. The final song on the list gives Tonight Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins a run for its money. You get it? Because it's called Today Today. This song might be the most straightforward one that we cover, and I think it's fitting to have it here at the end. It's about those days. You know the ones. The days where you can't seem to catch a break. Days that feel like they're caught in your throat, just taking up space. Days the quiet panic rises and gets worse and worse until you start counting your teardrops in a desperate attempt to calm down. And all the time you aren't spending worrying about where you have to be and what you have to do, you spend it dwelling on your past mistakes. He sings, "Today, today is one of those days to seem like the green light burned out. And where to begin just doesn't fall in. Forget what your move was about." This is something that I personally feel often. A sort of executive dysfunction where I feel anxious but immobile. It's not just that I can't or won't do the work that I need to do or respond to the calls that I need to respond to and then the texts that I should. I can't even force myself to brush my teeth or eat. The green light that he mentions is a reference to The Great Gatsby. In that book, the colored light is the guide that keeps Gatsby from getting lost. The ambitions and hopes and dreams seem to have fizzled out, and in their place is a gentle, disquieting buzzing of malcontent, eating away at your heart until you finally force yourself to do the thing or things that you needed to do. But even that brings no happiness or change. It just paves the way for the next unbearable task. Today is one of those days that carries you slowly to next time. You cry out for help, but no one is there. You drove them away with your inability to act. They have no sympathy, and really, why should they? It's a loneliness that's yours alone to bear. The days between days feel like an eternity that is quantifiable and adds up over time to this cacophony of failure and wasted potential. But then you try to regain some perspective. Jack says count your teardrops, all 114 of them. And when I was researching for this video, I discovered that this song and this video is his 114th upload to his channel. That's public. Those videos are the teardrops. The sum of your past and future accomplishments will define you so much more than your failures ever will. And today is just one of those days, and the depression might pass or ease if you just hold on a little bit longer. And there's this beautiful breakdown in the extended version of the song where he stares directly into the face of depression and begins to sing. And honestly, that's what I aspire to be like. Also, the little man in a suit and tie reminds me of the guy in Work. Sweet cinnamon. To be honest with you, some of the days leading up to finishing the script were just some of those days, but something that brings me joy beyond almost anything else is getting to ramble about stuff that I find interesting. So, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the video, consider supporting me over on Patreon, following me over on Twitter or Instagram, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good morning, and good night. I think that the apple is rotten, right to the core. From all the things passed down, from all the apples coming before, I split the apple down symmetrical lines.
And what I find is kinda scary.
I also would like to thank Audrey, Justin, Lou, Ray, ZK, Tom, Dave, Elkie, Stardrop, Nude, George, Joseph, and Mr. Fox. Have a great week, everyone.